Day 5 of the World Aquatics Championships out in Singapore, and we've got the first British gold medal on the board in the historic 4x2 freestyle relay. There was some stunning 200 meters individual finals elsewhere, and Mollie O'Callaghan gets beaten in the 100 meters freestyle. Lots to discuss, so let's jump straight into today's daily recap. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. Day 5 of these World Championships, a slightly different setting for me as we record tonight's podcast, as I am actually at a swimming meet. I'm at the Swim England Summer Nationals meet, recording some content for Swim England and working on hopefully promoting volunteers a little bit. But actually we've got some fantastic racing at the World Championships to discuss also. Hopefully you can bear with my background noise, and Dan can do the legwork of this episode.
Yeah, well, I was going to say I'll do a little bit of the editing and try and get your sound and audio better, but it is what it is. You got jobs to do, but yeah, we'll crack on with the swimming, and there were some good races to get through here, so we might actually be a while.
Absolutely, some fantastic races and some momentum, hopefully, finally, for British swimming on the board. Before we jump into tonight's episode, I want to remind you guys that this podcast is brought in partnership with One Flow Aquatics out in Summer Bay, the newest destination for your warm weather training camps on the Red Sea in Egypt. And if you're interested in booking your next training camp, you can do so following the link in the show notes of this podcast. Okay, Dan, we're going to kick things off with the women's 100 meters freestyle, and I'm feeling a little bit smug about the result of this one because I had foresight that Marrit Steenbergen was having a quietly very, very good meet. We know the story of Mollie O'Callaghan by now. We don't need to go into the background of it, but it's the Dutch woman who snatches gold from, let's put it, she's an Australian legend at this point in freestyle.
Oh, she absolutely is. And she's only, 21, 22, maybe even younger than that. And she's won what she's won already and going to win countless more as well. I suppose I have to put my hands up. I thought Mollie was going to win it, but I tell you what, the semi-final swims and the heat swims and all the swims that she's done this year, Steenbergen probably deserves this win. I mean, the turn that she had, like we've been banging on about Mollie's turns all week, and Steenbergen actually outturned her, like better underwaters at that given point. And we've been going on about slingshotting off that wall, and the speed that she got off that wall was better than Mollie O'Callaghan. O'Callaghan caught up towards the end, but ran out of pool. An amazing swim, amazing swim.
If this was 105 meters freestyle, I think Mollie O'Callaghan would have got there.
She would have got there, yeah, absolutely. But as it is, 100 meter swim and first gold for the Dutch team. I think there was an amazing stat actually, which I think has happened for 4 nights in a row now, that there's been every individual race has been won by a different nation. Like, that's how deep, I suppose, swimming is getting. It's not all about Australia. It's not all about America, China. I mean, every nation is winning medals now, gold medals, which can only be a good thing for the whole sport, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Tori Husker's done really well to win bronze in here. She really does take out the 100 free fast. And I think maybe at a different meet where she's got a stronger preparation and not such a harsh illness that's gone through the American team, and I on the quiet know a few of the Brits as well, not that that's been publicly discussed. She might get this. Like, she really does put pressure on Steenbergen and O'Callaghan with how fast she takes out that first 50.
Oh, if she wasn't ill and it was another day, then maybe she would have been up there. I actually thought the fields were close throughout the whole race, if I'm perfectly honest.
Closer than you expected.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be what we described as a 2-horse race, with maybe Husk being part of that 2 or 3, but the illness kind of hindered her. But yeah, not as fast as I thought. I thought we'd have a low 52, because I think we had 52.3s in the semis, so I was kind of half expecting like 52.1s or something like that. But 52.5 was the winning time, which is still obviously amazing, but not as quick as I thought. But Hus can consider herself unlucky, I suppose. She did everything she could. She does her tactic that always works for her, goes out strongly, but you're dealing with these swimmers who are incredible at the back end, arguably the best ever in Mollie O'Callaghan on a female side. So it's going to be a tough job, but I think she did really well to win bronze, like you say.
Yeah, I agree. And, this podium's here for a while. Like, these swimmers are not going to be going away fast.
Yeah, it seems that way. It does seem that way.
Men's 200 meters breaststroke, another one we talked about yesterday, with Qin Haiyang being a danger man in lane 8 heading into the final. No one would have had eyes on him, and the last 50 meters really paid dividends for him.
Yes, it was. I don't know if lane 8 actually helped him. I just think he had a tactic in his head of very similar to Wanatabi, if I'm perfectly honest, and he stuck to it and performed as well as he could have done, if I'm honest. Maybe not off on the world record. I think the comms were getting slightly ahead of themselves, of course, again. But 2:07.4 is still a good time, but not on his world record pace. But he does the double, and he called it a miracle swim. I don't know if it was a miracle swim. I just think he did it tactically absolutely right. Wanatabi was catching. I'll tell you what, who was catching? Corbeau. He was nowhere in the race, and then suddenly that last 50, he nearly snatched silver. An incredible last 50 from him.
Yeah, I think Qin Haiyang's swim for me is kind of remnants of what David Popovich said in the 100 meters freestyle interview, like after the race. He said for him it was all about swimming with blinkers on. Like if he was in a race where it was literally just him and two walls either side of him, he would have raced exactly the same. I think Qin Haiyang did that. He just raced his own race.
Yeah, I mean, he is obviously, I would say, a better 100-meter swimmer. I don't know if that's the right thing to say now, actually. But, yeah, a strong 100-meter swimmer, obviously a PB of 57, so when he's splitting a minute or minute one, that's like the best easy speed that you could probably ask for in the entire field. He then holds his ground for the second 50, and then kind of pushes the second half, like the stroke rate clearly increases. And actually, the American Pouch was the one who was coming through on the third 50. And actually, I think he paid for it at the end. He finished fifth. But the pacing of Qin, the pacing of Wanatabi, and clearly the pacing of Corbeau was a sight to see, if I'm honest. And that's the reason why they got the medals.
Men's 200 meters backstroke, and we finally see an all-out Hubert Kos in this one, which, to be honest, is an absolute joy. A 1:53.19, a massive 1 second personal best for him, which is huge. And this was a fast podium.
It was. I mean, going back to Coetzee, obviously won the 100, and he's kind of backs up the 200 as well. And not a million miles away from Kos, which just shows how good that swim was. And he did take it out. He took it out really hard as well. 25.8, which was over half a second under the world record. And now this world record, I put on par with the 200 free. Like, I don't think it's going to be broken for a long time yet. And they were underneath the world record with 100 to go, and then they were on world record with 150 to go. So of course the comms are getting involved in the world record. And to be fair, I was as well, thinking like, oh, Kos is going to come back here, but yeah, not to be, because the Persol, and I think this is where the super suits come in, because it does help your back end, keeps your body buoyant. And yeah, the world record disappeared, but even still, a 1:53.1 for, like you say, a 1 second PB is a massive swim. Yeah, he should be pretty happy with that. And in fact, the whole podium went really quickly. I think Nierdo Bourard went near enough a second PB as well, and Coetzee's on the form of his life right now. So yeah, an incredible race.
You say this world record is out of reach, but we've said that about a few Leon Marchal world records recently.
True.
Like that, the ones that he's hit, and Hubert Kos is with Bowman. I'm not ruling this out, because Hubert Kos is progressing. Like a 1 second personal best off the back of an Olympic Games where he became Olympic champion is huge.
Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah. Going back with more stats, like that time was the 5th fastest ever. I think he can go even quicker again. I mean, even in the into, actually, he was beaten. Like he was like, I think it looked like he was about to be sick with lactic, and it just looks so much pain. But 5th fastest ever, 3rd in a textile suit, and I think he now has all the titles: your world champion, Olympic champion, short course worlds, all of them. I think he's got them all now. So, yeah, there's not much more to do other than defend what he's already earned.
Brits in this one, Luke Greenbank finishes down in 8th in a 1:56.26. I think he left everything in the pool, and I think after the disappointment of what happened at the Paris Olympic Games, just for Luke to be in a final, to be progressing through the rounds, and, you know, to show his quality, like his pedigree in the 200 metres backstroke, and to remind everyone that, look, accidents happen in the swimming pool like that. But it's no fluke that he's a medalist or previous Olympic medalist in 200 metres backstroke.
No, I sometimes think people forget how good he actually is. Like, his underwaters are world class. Like, he's keeping up with these guys on the underwaters. When you're talking Kos, Coetzee, these guys are monsters under the water, and Luke is hanging with them and arguably sometimes beating them. So he is amazingly world class at those underwaters. I guess it's just about maybe the mental state, just trying to get a bit of confidence, like you were saying. But he deserves to be in the final. Yes, it was a tough lane assignment, being in lane 8, dealing with these swimmers that we're talking about, with backstroke being in a purple patch. But he's in amongst it. So we should take he should take confidence from that, I think.
Women's 200 metres breaststroke, and for me this was one of the swims of the night. Kate Douglas with a 2:18.5 and a championship record, 2nd fastest time ever. The fastest time ever is Chuganova, who she beat kind of comfortably into 2nd place. And
Yeah.
Do you know what? This is a phenomenal swim.
I tell you what, you're right. This was the swim of the night, and arguably, I know Marchon's swim's going to be right up there, but I really enjoyed this swim, as in like a swim of the week. The way that she attacked it from the get-go, like she's been clearly working on that. That's why the 100 has been working, like we were saying yesterday. The 100's been working. It's worked in the 200, and it's not just that. So she turned really quite quickly at the 100. Then she's maintained that speed and kept attacking the whole time. Yeah, Chukanova came back a little bit towards the end, but she's so far ahead by that point. There's no one's catching her. Second fastest ever, championship record, richly deserved. I mean, the clear body length ahead of everyone. The underwaters were phenomenal. Every single turn taking chunks out of the field. And that does help when you've got the swim speed to back it up as well.
For me, it's the improvements that she's made in this 200 metres breaststroke has been testing that front end speed. She's always been phenomenal at the end of this race. But this year, we've seen the improvements over the 100 metres distance. Like, even just her putting that into her program, for me, is an indication that, you know what, it's a little bit like we've seen a lot of the American swimmers and a lot of Brits are actually leaving absolutely everything in the pool, no questions asked, kind of not even worrying about back-end speed. Like, get yourself in the race, get yourself in the lead, and just hang on.
It is. It's all about being in the right position at the right time, and this is where we'll talk about Angharad in a minute. But, yeah, I consider those types of swims, like Ollie Morgan, what he did at trials in a 200 backstroke, among others, going out hard, getting out there, giving yourself the best chance to do a great swim, win a medal in this case, hit a PB, whatever it is, and then rely on all the training you've done in the background to try and get you through physically. And I think that's what Angharad did. She was third pretty much the whole time and then just faded towards the end. But I think she gave herself a great chance. This was not, in my opinion, not her number one event. The 100 was. And she kind of had this mentality. I think Nick Hope spoke to her and she just wanted to be, her wording was be a pain in the ass and try and compete with the top guns. So, yeah, it's just a shame she faded in the end, but at 2:24, she'll probably look back and think, oh, I could have done a little bit better again. But it is what it is.
Do you know what? I'm not sure the time is reflective of the swim, in my opinion. No. I think watching the race and seeing how she swam that in third place and really was in the shoulder and in with a hunt for a medal right until the closing stages, I saw the clock and I was like, no, that surely that's faster than the 2:24.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The swim doesn't give it justice that time, because I think it was really brave. It takes a lot of bravery to be able to do that. I honestly think you race the race that you're in, and whatever the time is, like the women's 100 free earlier, doesn't have to be an absolutely electric time, but as long as you do enough to win the event, that's all that matters. And the way that she raced it, I think she did it perfectly in that situation. The time didn't come, but I think she did whatever she could.
Yeah, she really put herself in with a hunt for the medal and gave herself like every chance of getting there and kind of screwed the time. The time happens. Like, you're going to remember your place at the end of the day. Like, if you're first, second, third, like that's what you're going to remember, not a personal best, season's best. I know we say let's swim personal best at these big meets, but in a 200 meters dogfight, like, you just want to be in amongst it.
Yeah, it's one of the most tactical races, I think, in the swimming program, as well as your longer distance events, obviously in the IMs. But yeah, you've got to do your own race, a bit like what Qin did earlier, where you could have, some people do it differently. Douglas, in this occasion, took it out hard. Most people, it's easy speed for the first 100 and you bring it back home. Angharad, I think, did decide to push the first 100, 150, and it kind of not backfired. She just faded towards the end. So I think it's a good learning curve. This whole meet for her has been a great learning curve, and I think give it another year, 2 years, that's when the next Worlds are, I think she'll come back even stronger.
Men's 4x200 meters freestyle relay then. I apologise for the air horn in the background. You wouldn't believe, like, currently going on at Ponds Forge is 800 meters freestyle, by the way, in a middle session. Like, the atmosphere here is bouncing.
That's
really, really weird to hear.
Yeah.
I know. I really apologise for the background noise, and I hope everyone can stick with us. Men's 4x200 meters freestyle. We had it on the big screen here at the Swim England Summer National Meet. GB get the job done. There were a lot of chat beforehand that potentially, like, form isn't quite there for these boys, but when Duncan Scott is coming back in a 1:43.8, you're fine. You're doing fine.
Yeah. I mean, watching that race, yeah, we didn't come in first when we handed over to Duncan, but it was only like 0.6 lead, and you think, oh, I think we're okay. Like, in Duncan we trust, and we always stand by that. And he was good. Always 1:43s from him. But actually, he wasn't the fastest in the field. Luke Hobson absolutely smashed it. 1:43. I think he was the third leg, if I remember right. and he came back and actually started to lead for the Americans. So an incredible leg from him. But it's all about the Brits, obviously, being a British podcast. I'm half surprised by the order, or am I? I'm not quite sure. But Matt had a very solid start, a 1:45.3. Took it out relatively quickly, 50.8. That's quicker than normal, or that's kind of bang on what he needs, actually. And he came back really well, raced the race as he should do. I think he's half bod length ahead, handing over to Jimmy. And I think Jimmy showed all of experience, doing a perfect job for a second leg swimmer. 1:45 dead is absolutely where he's got to be. He'd probably look at that and think, oh, I could have done 1:44. But it is what it is. I think most people would have been a little bit nervous. I don't know what it was like in the crowd. You'll tell me in a minute. When Jack was swimming, I thought it was actually kind of brave from him. Like, really comfortable first 100. But because it was so comfortable, he kind of not fell behind, but draw level with the rest of the field. And I'm
I can
sure
tell
people...
you now, there were twitchy bums here.
Yeah,
there were twitchy. At the 150 mark, I was sat in front of some of the coaches who are quite high up here at Swim England, and it was, come on, Jack, come on, Jack, come on, Jack, move, Jack, move, Jack.
Yeah, it's interesting because I thought that. I thought, oh, the field are catching up, but I realised or remembered how steady or how comfortable for easy speed that first 100 was, and I knew he was going to come back through towards the end. The problem is you're dealing with Hobson, so you kind of ignore him for a little bit. And he did come back. He came back and touched over or handed over to Duncan in second place, which is exactly what he needed to do. And then Duncan does what Duncan does. He goes and does a 1:43, like we've been saying, and brings it home for Team GB and gets another medal. And I've lost count how many golds we've done now. It's been a good number of years where we've defended this title.
For all the talk of potentially America challenging the Brits, they actually miss out on the podium. And I think missing Carson Foster, who was missing through injury from what we know, big shame. As a British Swimming podcast, British Swimming fans don't care. I'm quite happy.
No, actually, a lot of the talk came from China in the end, if I'm honest. A lot of the Chinese guys or the Chinese team, coaches, whoever, actually said if everyone's on their A game, that they have a chance at the world record. And I don't know if I kind of believe that. And actually, looking at the
Speaking of world record, actually, Duncan was very, very close to it on the 150 mark of his turn. And I was just like, he's going to get it. Surely it's Duncan.
That's
and then
exactly
you see his split, and you're like, oh, well, I'm not sure he could have gone much faster, could he?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the world record splits are all over the place. But I'm trying to remember, because that world record was back when Phelps was swimming, so ages ago. So I don't know how quick that last swimmer came back.
Would have had a super suit.
Yeah, super suit, of course. Yeah, which helps things. But yeah, we were kind of on world record pace, and we actually didn't have any 44s. Yeah, we had Duncan doing a 43, but 3 45s. So there's more to come. So I still think the world record is on the cards later on down the line, especially if, let's say, Dino comes back and does what he can. But it might be quite difficult to take Jack out of this team at the moment, because that was a
professional
very
swim
much
from
so.
him.
Yeah. So we've got 5 strong swimmers, so we'll see what the future holds in this relay now.
Okay, that just about rounds up day 5 finals. We're going to take a quick ad break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking semi-final action. Okay, just want to remind you guys that this episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast is brought in partnership with One Flow Aquatics out in Summer Bay, the newest destination for your warm weather training camps on the Red Sea in Egypt. And if you're interested in booking your next training camp to a venue that has a 50-meter outdoor Olympic pool, a 25-meter outdoor pool, 2 outdoor gyms, indoor gym, and a brand new hotel attached to the complex, you can do so now by following the link in the show notes of this podcast. Dan, men's 100 meters butterfly, kicking off this semi-final talk. I'm just going to start with the biggest headline from this. It takes a 50.8 to make the final of the 100 meters butterfly. Yeah. The world's moving fast in this event, like really, really fast.
It's a mad event, if I'm honest, and I actually wrote in my note here, the final is going to be mental. Like, if you're going sub 51 just to make the final, what's it going to take to get a podium? We haven't seen any 49 so far. I suspect we probably will do. But looking at the final line-out, all of the big guns make it, which makes it really exciting. Very happy about that. I don't know who the favourite is going in, if I'm perfectly honest. I suppose semi-final 1, Grousset was the one who won that semi-final with Karun just behind him. I'd say Grousset actually looked pretty comfortable. Lovely, easy speed for the first 50. He actually did such a strong turn as well and actually pulled away. And I think he switches off for the last 10 metres as well to go a 50.2. So, high hopes of him going to 49. Karun maybe hasn't swam the best or hasn't hit expectations. Like, we've had a lot of Canada comments recently, and Karun hasn't been his absolute best. but 50.39 is actually very good and a very similar tactic to Grousset. And that was semi-final 1. Gets a bit interesting in semi-final 2.
Yeah, Grousset for me, like I've gone into this meet saying, you know what, I think he's the favourite for the 50. The 100, I said it was a coin flip between him and Ponti. Ponti in the second semi-final looked really, really good, but he's not the only name in this. Thomas Chekon is becoming a fly back swimmer. He is becoming a phenomenal fly swimmer. But I think it's the return to form of Josh Liendo. He's had a really, really quiet meet so far, albeit one outstanding relay split, which kind of, I think, puts this field on notice that he has swam a 49 point at this meet off a takeover.
Yes, yeah. Let's go back to your Chekon. It's classic Chekon. Every time you see him in a semi-final, he's either in lane 1 or lane 8. And you think, how do you do this every single time? It must be skill, because it's not a coincidence if you're doing it every single time. It's not a fluke. Qualifies in lane 1, I believe it was. Makes the final. Ponti, I think, now has to be the favourite going in. The underwaters are insane. He's taking chunks off the turn. In fact, the undulation on every pass of his swim, the actual underwaters, the actual stroke itself, is amazing. His reaction after he finished, actually, was quite surprised by his time, so I don't know if that means anything. I actually think there's more to come. I think he can go a sub 50. And then Liendo, he was my pick going in, and I think he's got more to come as well. His start wasn't as good as it could be, and yet he still goes to 50.2. So I think he'll do what you said earlier, and he'll go another 49 point. I just don't know who beats him. I mean, it could be anyone. There could be a whole host, like 5 or 6 could easily win this event, and this is why it makes it so exciting, because we can't actually pick a winner. We can guess, but we actually don't know for sure.
Yeah, for me, this is right up there now as easily one of the finals of the week. Like, this is one I'm really, really looking forward to. There are some standout races still to come, like the men's 53 we'll get to. Like, that is going to be an absolute belter. But it's not a whole field could win this final. Like, a whole field could win this, and you could get multiple people on the podium with joint medals. Like, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I kind of put this on par with the men's 100 backstroke, actually, where the whole field could have easily have podiums. This 100 fly is exactly the same, and I'm looking forward to it. I think I agree. This might be the final of the whole week, but we haven't got to the women's 800 free, which everyone is looking forward to.
Yeah, obviously we had the heats of that this morning, and everyone safely through into that final, so that is going to be an absolute belter tomorrow.
Can't wait.
Brit, watching this one, Ed Mildred doesn't make it out of the semi-finals, but he's had a really, really impressive meet for me. He's moved on his 100 meters butterfly, he's moved on his 200 meters butterfly, and I think the balance of being a freestyle swimmer and a butterfly swimmer is starting to lean further towards the butterfly section, especially because his heat swim in this was a 51.3. Which is impressive. That is a solid swim. You're just dealing with one of the fastest fields ever.
Yeah, I mean, from his point of view, I imagine he probably won't be happy that he's gotten slower through the rounds. Everyone's aim is to try and go quicker through the rounds, so maybe that will play on his mind. But I think with it being his first Worlds, it's a learning curve. Taking all of this experience, then make yourself better in 2 years' time. Arguably, again, this is just the field we're dealing with. Maybe he could have gone out a little bit quick on the first 50. But, you're dealing with the 50-meter world champion. You're dealing with Ponti, who's a short course specialist. You're dealing with all these guys. So it's a stacked event. So I think he should be pretty happy. But the only thing is, ideally, you want to go quicker through the round. So that might grind at him, if you like.
Women's 200 meters backstroke will forever be the weirdest event in women's swimming, in my opinion. Because the top 3 names in this are so far ahead of the world. Maybe even the top 2. They are miles ahead of the rest of the world. But it only takes a 209 to make a world final. I say only. 209 is not anything out of the ordinary in 200 meters backstroke, but the rest of the world just isn't quite there. I don't quite get it. And I haven't understood women's 200 backstroke for a very long time.
If there's ever an argument for schedulers to get rid of semi-finals, the first place they should look is the women's 200 backstroke, because do we need it? It's an argument to say no.
That's a controversial question, but I get it. I do get it.
Yeah. I know, I'm sure there are other events, but I can't think of the top of my head. But are semi-finals needed? Certainly not for this 200 backstroke, because your top 8 are always going to make it, especially the big 3. Unfortunately, Casey Shanahan pulled out late doors, which was a shame. Holly McGill, with the time of 2:09 to make the final, kind of there's an opportunity missed in my head. She could have made it, but it is what it is. Again, you're dealing with 3 big swimmers. But you gotta get out there in the semi-finals, get a lane in the final, and then you can really attack it in the final, and then anything can happen. PBs, podiums, but I think podium's going to be difficult in this situation because Kaylee Reagan and Claire are the three big names. That's the podium, I think, already. It's just which order it goes in.
Yeah, I think the thing for me, like if we're previewing tomorrow's final, is we don't know where any of these swimmers are because we've just not seen them swim. They've just swam warm-up swims, essentially, for what they're really capable of. I'm still Kaylee McEwen. This is her best event. I think she's going to get the better of the two Americans. Maybe it's just a question of which order the Americans finish in, because Regan Smith's had a handful of silvers at this meet, but I think Claire Kazan, she got her at American trials. She's got every capability of getting her again, and Regan's had a very, very busy schedule.
And that is the thing that's going to probably work against Regan, is that this is Claire Kazan's first event, so she is going to be more fresh. And based on that semi-final, yes, they're not going flat out, obviously, because they don't need to. But Claire Kazan she had the best turns in the field by a bit of a distance, actually. So maybe Regan, obviously Regan's extremely good at the underwaters, but maybe she wasn't utilising them properly because they only have to go at 2:08. That's PB plus what, 3, maybe 4? Like, it's really quite an easy swim, really. It's almost like a swim down, if I'm honest. But yeah, expect faster times from all three. I think Claire Kazan, like you say, actually beat Regan at trials, and she was going 2.5s maybe. I can't remember, maybe 2 or 4. And then Kaylee will go a 2, 3 or 4 as well. So that's my prediction anyway. So we'll see how it goes. The interesting thing actually in that final is that Kaylee and Regan won't be next to each other. So I wonder if that will play a factor.
Maybe. We'll see. I still think Kaylee McEwen's just going to swim her own like consistent splits that she constantly does in this event. Next up then, the men's 50 meters freestyle. It kind of already slightly looks like a 2-horse race with how fast Cam McAvoy swam and how fast Jack Alexi actually came back at Cam McAvoy in the last 10 meters, which maybe a slight surprise, maybe?
I've always said that Cam's swim speed is the fastest in the world. Not by far, but good enough, especially over a 50. But like you say, Jack Alexi actually came back. Now, I think he's looking really dangerous, and I think he's super confident at the moment, especially now he's getting quicker through the rounds and kind of got that sort of monkey off his back in the 100. I expect him to go quicker again. So if he's going to go quicker, that means he's going to go sub 21.3, and then that makes it interesting because Cam, I think,
you're
can
on
go quicker
season's
as well.
bests, aren't you?
Yeah, you are. I think Cam can also go quicker, but I think he took a breath towards the end, so maybe 10, 15 meters out. So, but then again, we had the argument maybe a breath does help in these 50s nowadays, but I don't think it does when it comes to this 53. I still think Cam's the favourite, but I think Alexi will give him a big run for his money.
Isn't the Russian in the second semi-final, Kornev, doesn't he breathe every 2? Like, he's got a very weird 53 technique.
Chalmers did this as well once upon a time. Do you remember he was having a little play and he was breathing every 2 like he does in the 100? And for some reason, when he was testing it, that makes him quicker. I mean, whatever works, I guess. When you get the oxygen in, your muscles perform better, I suppose. But then your out of body line, streamline's affected, all the rest of it. So that's the reason why they don't breathe. But yeah, I thought Kornev, he's in the final, so he's got a shot, obviously. But a 21.51 is good. And he's the one who's been blasting out the first 50 on the 100. So I expect for him to pose a threat as well. But it looks like a top 2. Even though we say it's a top 2, obviously Ben's going to be there as well. 21.6, qualifies in 6. So he's got a lane, got a shot. He can easily get on the podium, could easily win it. So maybe there's some more to come. I think he did switch off a little bit towards the end, which will be very interesting to see if he can join Cam and Jack Alexi at those sort of speeds. Could you imagine the podium going sub 21.3? I actually generally think it could be
fast.
That could happen.
Genuinely good. I think Ben's start was phenomenal. Like, really good. Like, after maybe I wrongly criticised his start, or his breakout in the 50 fly just didn't quite look right, even though his start was good. Like, the breakout just didn't quite look right. In this 53, which is his specialty now, for my opinion, looked really, really good. And you're right, it just faded, switched off a little bit in the last few meters. He's in an absolute dogfight for this podium, though. Like, this is a fast final all around the clock, especially when, like, Chalmers didn't even make the semi-finals. This is a specialist field. You can't come in as a 100 swimmer coming down out of 53 anymore, I don't think, personally.
No, a 21.77 is what you needed to make the final, and that was actually a swim-off. So, I actually didn't see the result of that swim-off because I quickly recorded with you, so I don't know the result of the swim-off. But yeah, 21.77 is what's needed to make the final, which I don't know if there's any, or very many anyway, 100 swimmers that can actually hit that time nowadays. So you do have to be a bit more of a specialist. So, should be a good race.
Swim-off was won in a 21.66, by the way, which is very impressive at the end of the session to swim back up another 50-metre swim with another one.
Gone even quicker. So there you go. So maybe that's good practice. It kind of worked for Lauren Kotz in the 50 back. So maybe it'll work for him in the final as well. But I do think it's a top two. And then if Ben can also not switch off at the end, which I think he did, then maybe it's a top three. And then who knows what can happen. But the whole field is extremely close. It's going to be a blanket finish.
Women's 50 metres butterfly, the Gretchen Walsh one that we've got eyes on, potentially aiming at Sjöström's world record. I hope the reduced schedule means that she's aiming at it as well, because she's gone a 25.09 in the semi-finals. She's 0.3 ahead of the rest of the field, and she looks really, really strong. I hope the illness hasn't taken away what would be a monumental world record. I think it will be up there with Marchand in the 2 AM. Maybe not the magnitude that Marchand broke it, but the level of that world record is an exceptionally fast time. I'm hoping, I'm praying, because I don't think we've seen the best of Gretchen yet at this meet.
No, the positives I took away from it actually was the swim speed. The swim speed looks kind of there. It was good. Still rangy arms like she always has, super strong undulation and kick. The start for me wasn't absolutely perfect, because usually she takes a chunk out of people, half a bod length. She didn't have that. I think she was kind of level, and then the swim speed took her through. So that might be a good couple of tenths just from that. But she's got a fine 0.6 based on her semi-final swim to hit this world record. So it might be a little out of reach. I'd love to be proven wrong, Gretchen, if you are listening, which she's not. But to try and find 0.6 is a big ask. She's the only one that is going to... I think she's the only one in this race who's going to win this gold. I'll be super surprised if she didn't win gold. It just depends what time she's going to go. Sub 25 is definitely on the cards, but the world record might be slightly out of reach, in my opinion.
I mean, Van Dijk won the first semi-final. She's had a really, really good meet, and kind of she's put herself in amongst it now with some of the best sprinters of all time. But you're dealing with Gretchen Walsh, who she's taken butterfly onto a new level, like stratospherically. Like, even if she's not quite at the Sjöström world record, it's gonna take some to beat her.
Yeah. And I actually think, I remember ages ago I was saying a top 5 world records that are going to be in upholstery is impossible to break. And obviously the 800 free for the men, 200 fly for the women, 50 fly for the women was there as well. And you think, God, both those women's world records now are seriously under threat. So I'd love for them to go. It's been around since 2014, that Sjöström world record, I think. Wind assisted, which we've spoken about millions of times. Gretchen's capable. Will she do it? We will find out. That semi-final one was actually really interesting. Going back to what we said about Cam breathing in the 53, Sulkova was winning that semi-final the whole way. She took a breath and she lost all the momentum, kind of messed up the finish slightly, and then finished third. And kind of lucky that she made the final, I suppose, because that being third in this semi-final, based on this world's, is playing with fire, isn't it? So luckily it didn't. It worked out well for her.
I think maybe the difference in taking a breath, not taking a breath, however you do it, I think maybe Grosset in the 50 fly in the men's had planned for it. Like, he had built that into his stroke, his strategy. Like, you knew it was coming. Maybe this fly, maybe this breath came because it was needed. It was necessary. She was running out of oxygen, and it just put the brakes on completely, because that's why you're taught in a sprint not to breathe, because it can put the brakes on. It's like pulling a handbrake in some instances. You've got to get all your momentum back.
Yeah, we will never know if she needed the breath or it was planned, obviously, because only she will know that and her coaches will know that. But I thought it was an interesting takeaway, and that was something where she can put that right, and maybe she's a chance for a podium as well. But it's going to be all about Gretchen, I imagine, when that final comes around tomorrow.
Okay, that just rounds up tonight's episode of Propulsion Swimming Podcast, reviewing day 5 of the World Aquatics Championships. Thank you so much for everyone bearing with me with the background noise in this one. Hopefully it's a little bit quieter. I know tomorrow's session here is not quite as long. Like, I have all the respect in the world for the officials at this meet, because today they get about an hour's rest from 8 a.m. in the morning to about 8 p.m. at night, which is nuts. Like, incredibly good showing from them. Really exciting finals to look forward to tomorrow. Hopefully another British podium with Ben Proud on the board. And we get that monumental Katie Ledecky and Summer McIntosh head-to-head in the 800 meters freestyle. I am buzzing to see that.
Literally.
I really hope they put that on the big screen here, because I cannot wait to see that.
Yeah, that is, as long as it lives up to everyone's expectations, like everyone's got this thought process in their head of who's going to win, how the tactics going to play out. Super exciting. That is going to be the final of the whole meet, I think. But the men's 100 fly will probably have something to say about that, because that's also very interesting as well. So lots of finals to look forward to tomorrow.
Yes, thank you everyone for listening to today's episode. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And me and Dan will see you guys in 24 hours.
Yeah, thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one.
You've been listening to the Propulsion Swimming Podcast with Scott and Dan. We want to thank you for joining us and invite you to subscribe to the show, as well as checking out the Propulsion Swimming YouTube channel for weekly tutorials and videos to get your swimming fix. We will be back next week. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one.